the world in marking the International Workers' Day, commonly known as International Labour Day. It is one of those days that so many workers in the country always wait for that one proclamation from the president. And tomorrow there is one of those things that many Kenyans will be anticipating. So tell us in our social media handles. Number 2047 is on text, 0793 267 279 on WhatsApp. You can also call us live at 0795 045 864 and tell us what are you anticipating tomorrow's Labour Day celebrations, the 60th of them. But then even before we talk about the 60th, let's trace down to the 58th Labour Day celebrations in 2023. When President William Ruto was speaking. Let's have that soundbite when President William Ruto was talking about matters wages and remuneration policy.
Sera mpya, we are going to have a new wages and remunerations policy. Tunatengeneza sera mpya ambayo itashughulikia ni nani analipwa pesa ngapi. Tuondoe tofauti ambayo iko kati ya wafanyikazi wa umma, wafanyikazi wa private sector. We must harmonize how we treat all our workers so that all workers work for equal pay that is fair and that ensures hata tukisema minimal wage, lazima tukubaliane how do we arrive at minimal wage? How do we arrive at a decent, livable wage? Hiyo sera tayari iko katika baraza letu la mawaziri. Bwana chairman wa Labour hapo bunge, Bwana Karemba yuko hapa, anaitwa Bwana Mushangi. Tutaleta hiyo sera bunge, alafu nyinyi kama bunge mtatembelea hawa wafanyikazi wa Kenya wote, walete mchango wao vile wangependa hiyo sera itekelezwe kwa manufaa ya wafanyikazi wote wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Right, that is President William Ruto there back in 2023. And Odipo, it is something we're talking about matters legislation. I've been scanning through the tracker bill for 2023 as well as 2024. I have not seen any wages and remuneration policy or any bill. So I don't know if yet it has been tabled to Parliament. But then aside from that, do you see the reality of this happening when you talk about the enforcing of this, having an equal pay all through from the employer, employee, and in different sectors?
The issue of equal pay, equal work, equal pay, it is in the Employment Act of 2007. It is not something that it's supposed to be enacted. It is supposed to be enforced. Right now, if you go through the health sector, we have this group of healthcare workers who are working under universal health coverage. For the longest time, 5 years, they have been on contract, and they have been earning less than their counterparts that are working under permanent and pensionable terms. So if the president was talking about equal pay, it is there. It is about enforcement. If the government itself cannot enforce the law of equal work, equal pay, so which other law do they want to bring to enforce that? Yeah. So I think these were political statements.
Okay.
Yeah. There's political statements, there's reality. Yeah. The reality is that nobody is willing to enforce these legislations. Yeah.
But by nobody do you mean the members of parliament, because as he says, the CSs were to take this particular bill to parliament. So what exactly is hindering the implementation of this particular equal pay?
You see, we have the Labour Commissioner.
Yes.
Who is at the Labour Ministry. He's the one who is supposed to be enforcing the equal work, equal pay to the workers. Because an employer will always want to get the cheapest labor in the market. But if now we have the Labour Commissioner, they are working from one employment establishment to the next, looking at the payroll, the structures, the payroll, if people of same department are earning equal salary, yeah, such things. so that everybody gets what they are supposed to get. But right now, you find that in in one department, people are running differently. They're working the same work condition, the same job description, and then you pay them differently. Why? And I'll talk about the health sector. It is rampant. And it is rampant both in public sector and private sector. For example, in the county government hospitals, you will find that county governments have two types of employees. One, the permanent and pensionable employees, who are paid as per the SRC structure. Then they come and get their own outside that structure for SRC. They call them the county government contracted workers. They they're either employed by hospital boards, they are either employed by the county public service boards. Sometimes they even give the chief officers powers to employ on their behalf. So in this department, especially in health, these the hospital employed workers, they'll earn as low as 15,000 per month. You go to the ones that are employed with the county public service board under contract, around 30, 35, 40. Then the permanent and pensionable, they come and earn around 70 to 80. So you can see that difference. Then we come and talk about equal work, equal pay. The law is there. Let us enforce that law. And let them start with the UHC, understand that it is in the process, which they will have to standardize their terms so that they become permanent and pensionable. They will earn the same amount of money their colleagues in the permanent and pensionable are earning. So the rest in the counties, they should harmonize those salaries. There's no any vacuum in law. It is about the willingness to enforce the laws that are already readily available. Right. Yes.
You know, in the education sector, this is a conversation that we've always been having, harmonization, as he says, equal work, equal pay. What is the status as the Deputy Secretary General for KNUT so far when it comes to the harmonization of even the salaries, even from what the President was talking about?
I should say that the statement of the President, and more so when you compare the public employees and the private sector employees, it is very, very difficult to rationalize and harmonize their salaries. Considering that the salaries of employees at the public sector are controlled by job evaluation that is done by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Vis-a-vis, if you go to the private sector, it is based on negotiations through active negotiations between the representatives of the employees and the employer, and also considering the productivity of the industry where they work. So it is very, very difficult for us to say that you will harmonize the minimum wage in the public sector and the private sector, because the evaluations, the way they are done, is not equal, and it is not governed by the same body. So as I say, as my colleague is saying, political statements will not reflect to what the actual is, the situation on the ground, where the rubber meets the road. So, and that is why when you come to the public sector, it is very, very difficult for unions and the employer to negotiate for salaries, because always they will bring in the issue of Salaries and Remuneration Commission, that they cannot make an independent decision before they get advisory from the SRC. And that advisory is like mandatory, which is not according to the law. Because the law says that it should be an advisory, save for state officers. And when we talk about state officers, we'll talk about the parliamentarians, we'll talk about the direct employees from the state, and not public servants per se. So that becomes a very big challenge. And that is why, even if this has been floated the way the president said in 2023, up to now, there is no policy that has come out, because it is a difficult task to carry out, because these are two different sectors with two different employers and governed by different policies that are running the sectors.
In that particular, in the same statement, he talked about, and he was telling the members of the parliament, particularly even the Labour Committee, to reach out to the workers, which is both of, actually the three of you, plus so many other workers out here. Briefly, Esbon, at that particular time, because now it's 2 years, actually, did the members of parliament reach out to KNUT for any of this public participation?
I've seen situations whereby, and even tomorrow, it might work, it might appear, and I wish as it appears, that the president will either make a pronouncement on either an increment based on general wage, where it cuts across, or minimum wage. But now when it comes to enforcement, after the pronouncement has been made at the celebration field, like tomorrow we are going to Uhuru Gardens, once these pronouncements have been made, what is the follow-up strategy to ensure that it works? So
did members of parliament reach out to KNUT?
We have never had a situation whereby they come up to say that there was a pronouncement and this is a follow-up and we want to get your views. As KNUT, always, and now we are negotiating for a new collective bargaining agreement covering the period 2025-2029. Because this other one is coming to completion. There is no time we will come up to involve the members of parliament or to involve any other party in our negotiation between ourselves and the Teacher Service Commission. So we will always talk to Teacher Service Commission. But what the Teacher Service Commission will introduce, according to what the Constitution says, is the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So there is no time they will come and say, let us go to Parliament and let us get the views of the Parliament. Or there is no time they will say, we were at Uhuru Gardens or Jamhuri Park or Uhuru Park and the president made this pronouncement. Why? How can we follow up to see that what the president has said is practical? So it is, let me just use this unpolite word, it is like hot air.
But did the Labour Committee as well as members of parliament reach out to KNUML?
After the pronouncement of the president, I've never seen them coming to ask our views or even inviting us for any view. Just like as my colleagues has reiterated, that some of these things, they are very difficult to implement. But at the same time, they can be very easy to implement if we have serious people to implement them. Yes.
Now I want to get now from the border sector, because some would argue from the education as well as even from the health sector, you have robust unions that have been there. But then for the representation from the border sector, which, as we had said earlier, 1.6 million people in the country right now has employed that. For this particular sector, some would argue, Rebecca, that it might really be hard to have checks and balances on, the equal pay, because I probably have employed about 5 people, and it's a brotherly agreement. I have 5 bodabodas. I tell them, endeni mfanye kazi. At the end of the day, mnaniletea pesa. So how does that work? Maybe unaweza tuelezea ile ya employer wako, ule boss wako, kwa sababu one person maybe haezi afford kununua bodaboda, so labda ameajiriwa. How does it work?
Kwanza ni 2.5 not 1.6. Hiyo ni ile statistics imetoka saa hii. Kile kitu kinafanyika ni kwamba kama umeajiri hao watu, unajua ndio unapata kila mtu anakuwa na ile sheria zake. Mimi ile sheria ndapea ule mfanyikazi wangu ni tofauti na ile yenye wewe utampatia. So I was thinking, kama tunasema kwamba bodaboda watakuwa kama pia workers wengine, sheria undwe sheria fulani yenye itakuwa na regulate huyu mtu, kwamba wakati unanunua pikipiki kuna mahali unaregister kwamba huyu mtu ni mfanyikazi wako. so that in case of anything inakuwa kwamba wewe unahusika kama huyo ni mfanyikazi wako. Hata ni kwamba bodaboda, unajua ukisema ukitaja walimu na utaje daktari na utaje mtu yote, utapata kwamba bodaboda amehusika hapo, sababu kama ni walimu ndio tunawapeleka shuleni na kama ni madaktari ndio tunawapeleka hiyo hospitali na kadhalika. So unapata kwamba wakati tunaongelea mambo ya workers kuongezwa mshahara, wao tutaongea tu mambo ya walimu na madaktari, but utapata kwamba yule bodaboda niacha kwa stage miaka 11 iliyopita akibeba shilingi 50, wakati hiyo pikipiki ilikuwa labda ni 90k. Sasa hii pikipiki imefika 1200 ama analipa na loan mpaka ifike 1400, but still anabeba shilingi 50.
So, kuna ile inaitwa ripple effect. Kama ndipo hapa hata ongezwa mshahara, atasema mimi sizipanda bodaboda yako kwa sababu sina hiyo pesa.
Okay. So unaona the moment huyu mwalimu agro na huyu daktari agro inatu affect is direct, sababu hao ndio wateja wetu, you see. Na pia na hata akiongozwa pia naye anasaka bado kukuongezea mzara. So nilikuwa nafikiria kama tunaweza kuwa na ile channel ambayo bodaboda wachukuliwe kama workers wale wengine, na so that pia rate set zikuwe zinaweza panda, sababu wakati tunazungumza tuseme kwamba hii mwaka hii mbili ikiisha hii distance imekuwa shilingi 50. Na next year tutaweza ongeza ikuwe shilingi 60, so that pia sisi watu wetu waweze kugrow. Nafikiria inaweza kuwa njia mzuri sana. Then pia katika hizi circles ambazo tuko nazo na hao watu wetu, pia serikali ijaribu pia kuwa support so that pia watu wetu waweze kuwa at the end of the day pia anaweza pata retirement benefits zake kama mfanyikazi yule mwingine. Juu tunasema tu aje hii sekta ina employ watu wengi, but tumeipanga namna gani? Tumeiachilia, lakini tunaisifu kwamba inatuletea pesa mingi kama serikali, unaona? So kama serikali inatengeneza pesa mingi hiyo 660 billion annually, hata hakuna yenye inafika. Actually bodaboda tukiamua tunaweza lipa hata kaunti 2 mshahara. Unaona tuko na pesa, lakini nao sisi wenyewe tuna ukiona maisha tunakaa utagundua kwamba hakuna. So nafikiria kuna shida tu iko mahali hapo hivi, tukiweka mikakati vizuri tuhakikishe kwamba wakati mwalimu ataongezwa kwa mshahara pia itatacha yule mtu wa bodaboda ule ambaye huko chini, nafikiria tunaweza enda mbele sana.
Na speak of kuongezwa mshahara, naona we have about 7 minutes tumalize. Nataka tumizo 7 minutes vizuri kwa kupatiana solutions. Ulikushaanza kusema kitu nataka kuona kesho when President William Ruto will be speaking. Alikuwa anaongelea maneno nyingi, but then wewe unatarajia nini kutoka kwake? Unatarajia aseme nini exactly?
Okay, mimi natarajia aseme kwamba juu gharama ya maisha imekuwa juu, at least wafanyikazi wataongezwa mshahara. Alafu pili pia ajaribu kuangalia hao watu wetu ambao wanatumia hizo. Unajua lazima niongee kuhusu mambo bodaboda sababu niko hapa kwa ajili yao. Unaona?
Yes.
Hao watu wetu ambao wamejipea off wako kwa nyumba, lakini wametukata yetu sisi, ni njia gani pia wanaseregulate, sababu wasikue tu wanafanya zile uamuzi ambazo zinaumiza mimi kama mfanyikazi, sababu mnaajiri na application yake, lakini ananitumia, ananidhulumu na pia niongezee mshahara, so that pia hata hao wakati wameenda holiday namna hiyo ikuwe instead ya yeye kuwa anakata ile yangu kidogo kupea mteja wake, wacha akate yeye yake pande yake, so that apee ule mteja wake, sababu hakuna haja mimi 8 bob yangu tena uchukue 50 bob pe mteja. Kwa ile 20 bob yako unachukuanga wewe share na wewe mteja wako 10, sababu wewe ndio uko off. Wewe ndio umeniajiri na wewe ndio uko na kibeti kubwa. Mimi ambaye ni mfanyikazi wa chini, hata ungesema hiyo siku acha ikue, hata usichukue hiyo interest, so that pia mimi nijifunie kama mfanyikazi wa chini. So nafikiria itakuwa tu poa kesho rais akizungumza, ajaribu kutufafanulia pia sisi kama wafanyikazi wadogo walikuwa wanasema watu wa bodaboda.
Yes.
Ni mikakati gani ameweka kwa kisa kwamba life yetu pia kama watu wa bodaboda ina improve, sababu pia it is around 3 years down the line, lakini ukiangalia ile mikakati imewekwa na serikali ya kusaidia mtu ya bodaboda hakuna. Tunafinyika kila mahali, unapata kwamba istakabadhi ile unapata ndio uingie kwa barabara kama mtu wa bodaboda, license peke yake ni shilingi karibu 27,000. Na ni just a paper, na kama mtu unapata amejifunza pikipiki tu kwa nyumbani, anaenda tu kwa shule kutafuta hiyo document ambayo ni muhimu. So unajua pia tutafurahia hata kama watu touch direct, but wakipunguza vitu kama hiyo driving license, wapunguze kama hiyo vitu kama insurance ya watu wa bodaboda, pia sisi tutajivunia kwamba tuseme kwa hiyo Labor Day sisi kama watu wa bodaboda kuna mahali ambapo tumekumbukwa indirect, unaona?
So.
Yes.
But the president will definitely talk a lot about matters, state of the nation, but for you as a leader in the health sector, what do you anticipate for him to talk about, particularly in your sector?
See, Stanley, when you work to benefit. And the only way to benefit is that salary you're earning. The challenge that we have in this country is that the government will give you money with the left hand, with the right hand. And that same government will take that money by the left hand. For example, in 2023, there was some salary increment by the SRC. But what happened later? They brought in housing levy, which took what was increased. The same has happened with the chief. The same has happened with the NSSF. Yeah? So right now, actually, a worker who is in a payroll is getting 48% of his salary deducted. He remains with 52%. That 52%, you have not paid VAT. So you are going to pay VAT on that 52%. You are going to pay the housing tax if you are paying rent, the rental tax, through that 52%. So, in other words, what you are going to remain with, because you are going to buy so many things, is around 30% of your salary. 70 is gone.
Okay.
What we want as workers, there is no development when you are being overtaxed. You cannot develop yourself. The country cannot develop. That's why you find that they are telling us that the economy is growing. Economy cannot grow when workers do not have money in their pockets.
Right.
Yeah? Because right now, these are boda guy. He depends on teachers, madaktari, to use their boda. Yeah? When that salary is not there, he's not going to get work. So how do you want to tell us that the economy is growing? In which way? Please reduce the taxes. After reducing the taxes, expand the tax base so that any other person, including those people who are doing farming or what, the small things, can pay their fair share of taxes, so that we can have money in the economy.
Right.
But we cannot take all the money from the people who are employed and concentrate that money in Nairobi, then you leave these people without circulating money.
Right.
There's no any advantage over that. Yeah. So if tomorrow you say that you will remove for us housing levy, which seems to be an uphill task, will be good. But I don't expect anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sutino, your final remarks before now I have the three gentlemen wish people out here happy Labor Day. Your final remarks.
I should say that yes, President will come and address the nation as usual.
Yes.
But the President is also wise because he's listening to the voices of the people. And I even believe that even as we are talking now, some intelligence of the President is getting the conversation. Yes. And it is very clear. There is a lot of hue and cry on the social hospital insurance fund, the chief, and the President should come up and give the workers who are contributors to the same a lot of hope in terms of service delivery, that the services that they are getting are commensurate to what the workers are inputting into the social insurance, health insurance fund. And on the same note, we are now almost 2.5 years down the line when the implementation of housing levy has been there. And there has been a lot of hope because there was a lot of cry that we don't need these houses.
Yes.
And the government said that the houses will benefit the workers. Now, 2.5 years down the line, I want the President to actually inform the workers that their houses that are complete and ready for occupation.
All right.
So that practically we can see the workers having their houses and occupying them, so that we have that hope that what was promised is being real today. And then I think out of that, then the workers will have hope. Then finally, definitely.
Your Labor Day message as we wrap it up here.
No, definitely there is the issue of minimum wage in comparison to with the consumer price index.
Yeah.
We'd want to see that there is some increment either on minimum wage, and this will cut across. What will we do with the employees at the public sector?
Right.
And vis-a-vis then how do you place it on employees on private sector?
Okay.
So we want to get that pronouncement. But again, we have very many other unions in the government which are negotiating collective bargaining agreements.
Yeah.
How are these collective bargaining agreements going to be protected so that there is no interference, more so from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, so that it is real based on the job evaluation that is being done.
Right.
If that hope is given, then I would clearly say that we will celebrate our Labor Day. Remember, I gave you the genesis of Labor Day, that it emanated from a struggle. It did not emanate from a celebration. It was from a struggle.
Yes.
Should we say the struggle continues? I think we should now change the tune and say, let the struggle be a celebration and let the people enjoy the struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll take that as your Labor Day remarks. Odipo, salimia watu, ambie watu, maybe happy Labor Day?
Happy Labor Day? I don't think it is not. No, you are misleading me. Yeah, because as workers, especially...
Actually, I'm being informed that we have an extra about some 8, 9 minutes, so we can definitely continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, now, I was just saying that you are actually misleading me because what has happened the last 2.5 years, there's nothing to smile about for the worker.
Right.
There's nothing. Actually, every industry right now, people are crying, including the business people. They are crying. So the government should come up with mechanisms to bring money into the pockets of the workers so that we have money in circulation. If that is not done, then we cannot have happy Labor Day. It is going to be a sad Labor Day.
But the question would be, the government, as he was saying, as Esbon was saying, the government was insisting that the economy has grown, and you also pointed that out. So the question would be, is the government not listening to you as the worker, or what's the disconnect there in communication between when you as a worker say, I from the health sector say, I'm feeling the pinch, and then the government saying, well, the economy is growing. Where do you feel the disconnection comes from?
No, okay, I'm not an economist.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by economy is growing? Economics revolves around money and expenditure. If people are not making expenditure, how do you say that the economy is growing? Yeah. You see, there's some sweet-laced paper that the politicians can bring, because they cannot come and tell you that we are not growing. They will always bring hope.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of government.
And speaking of hope, last year, the president announced a minimum wage increment of 6%. For this year, for tomorrow, do you hope that it will remain the same? What is the impact? Because Kenyans would always want to understand when the president says 6%. So even as you answer that briefly, and then I take the Kenyans all the way to Nairobi Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, he announced 6%. And then what did the FKE say after the announcement? They protested because the economy was in recess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which means I don't think if there's any employer who affected that 6%.
Okay.
Yeah. So if he's going to announce again tomorrow, can we have action? Yeah. It's not just about announcing. You announce and follow it up with actions so that people the workers can benefit out of it.
So.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Kulema, just hold on, even as we take this particular live pictures at Nairobi Hospital, where our senior political affairs reporter, Apollo Kamau, is, just to see what is actually happening. Now, in case you're just joining us right now, is Charles Onondo Were, Member of Parliament, Kasipul, which is in Homa Bay County, lost his life this particular evening. And as you can see there, and even as Apollo Kamau was telling us earlier on in the evening, is that members of Parliament, as well as friends and family of the late Charles Onondo, Were just arriving at Nairobi Hospital. It is one of those somber mood at that particular place, even as they're getting into Nairobi Hospital just to see the body. Being informed that the body left Nairobi Hospital and has been taken to the funeral home. Can probably have some sights and sounds of what is happening at Nairobi Hospital and get back.
Back home, but because
Yes, as you can see, live pictures. Our camera person is trying to get that glimpse of the body of the late Charles Onondo, Member of Parliament for Kasipul, which is in Homa Bay County. The late Onondo lost his life after being shot by a gunman at the city mortuary roundabout, which is along Gong Road this particular evening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this comes just 2 months after the late Member of Parliament raised concerns of his life being in danger, and this has happened. We had to get confirmation from the police at that particular live pictures which you're seeing at Nairobi Hospital. This body has been taken to, actually that is at a funeral home, and just scanning through to see if the key members of Parliament and the key leaders of Parliament, Senator Amason Kingi for the Senate, as well as the Speaker for National Assembly, that is Wetangula, have given a statement, and will definitely be giving out a statement at that particular place. But then sure that this is a place that has quite a number of members of Parliament as well as friends and family, and will be giving you this particular report. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been discussing the plight of laborers in the country, being the eve of International Workers' Day starting, which is tomorrow, and we're going to also be covering that just for you right here at the home of Untold Stories, happening at Uhuru Gardens, and we'll be giving you these live pictures when they begin. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to close it up just to thank our guest tonight, Nicholas Odipo. He's the chair of Kenya National Union of Medical Laboratories Limited. Thank you very much, sir. Hesbon Otieno, Deputy Secretary General for Kenya National Union of Teachers, and Alex Kulema, Vice Chair Boda Boda Association. Vice Chair, I know nilikwambia tukirudi nitakupea 30 seconds ya kusalimia watu wa Boda Boda and just tell them Happy International Labour Day.
Okay, thank you. Okay, kwa watu wetu wa bodaboda Kenya mzima zaidi ya 2.5 milioni nawatakia Labour Day njema. Wateja wetu ambao wanatumia hizo pikipiki wa Kenya wenzangu, nawatakia pia Labour Day njema.
Asante sana, and asante sana to you for watching us this particular evening. This has been the Daily Report. Roda Nyamai has been on the sign language interpretation. Many thanks to the big team right here that has made sure that this particular production has happened. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyeringita. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday evening. Goodbye.